All right, so some of the pros and some of the cons of investing in multifamily properties. So investing in multifamily properties, the pros is there's a lot of opportunities for you to win with this type of investment. There's the ability to have cash flow. Basically, after all the rent is paid by tenants and you pay down your expenses and your debt service, it's the cash flow remaining. And that cash flow can be distributed based back to yourself and your investors. Next is the appreciation. Typically, real estate appreciates over time, right? And some markets more than others. So based on where you're investing, you will typically have some kind of appreciation or improvement in value of the property. However, with multifamily investments, you can actually do certain things, certain renovations, certain different managerial changes or management upgrades where you can increase the building value by forcing the appreciation forward, right? So that forced appreciation, whether it increases the income or reduces the expenses, adds to the bottom line, and that's how these investments are valued. Next piece of the puzzle is depreciation and tax benefits. You can take advantage of a lot of tax benefits, whether it be a 1031 exchange, changing for a like-kind investment, basically pushing forward your tax exposure, or using depreciation, accelerating depreciation to taking more paper losses up front to offset some of your other income and some of your taxes on some of your other income. Next is the diversification, right? So real estate is a tangible asset, typically is always going to hold some value, whether it being in the building or the land. So unlike some stocks or some cryptos that could easily go to zero, it now has the opportunity, or there's always some tangibility to this. Inflation, right? These buildings trend to appreciate or grow in value as inflation happens. And you say, well, how can that be? Is that to replace these buildings and now cost more because other things are costing more, labor is costing more, that it serves a great piece of the puzzle here with that the property you currently have that to be rebuilt again is now going to cost more, so it makes your building more valuable. Inflation also serves to a good point because it devalues your current debt, and the amount of money being paid to pay your debt down is being paid by your tenants in their nominal dollars. Next piece of the puzzle is diversification. It allows you to diversify away from stocks and bonds, right? So a lot of good opportunities here where you can use this to offset some of your other intangible investments that are more risk-on investments. This class 2 also, one of the pros is has maintained as one of the best asset classes, specifically in real estate, in all different kinds of terrain. Another piece of the puzzle with inflation or uncertainty in the markets is you have short-term leases with multifamily, year leases that are expiring and renewing throughout the year, so you're able to adapt to market conditions. So lots of pros for the multifamily side. Some of the cons, typically these could be bigger investments, right? So it's going to take more money, right? Being able to qualify for more of a loan to be able to get access to these. They're a more competitive property class, so you're going to be competing against some institutions, some bigger businesses here that may have more clout and more experience, which you can get it done, but there's going to be a higher level of performance is needed to get access to these investment types. Next, they're bigger properties, so the business plan itself, instead of just turning a one-bedroom single-family house or buying a stock and selling a stock a couple minutes later, is that they typically take a longer time to be able to transition a property, to be able to do the repositioning plan or the value add to the property. It typically takes a longer time. Could be a couple months, could be a couple years based on where the property sits today. And another kind could be liquidity. Typically these investments, like a lot of real estate, they can be less liquid, right? Once you buy them, it has to go through a process for you to do what you plan to do and to be able to sell the property in the future. Or if you have investors come in, or you are an investor in a property, you may not have access to that investment until time comes up that you'll be able to make do for it. So those are some of the great pros and cons for investing in multifamily. Let's do this.